Going to our event. We're going to see a concert. And we're going to see Metallica live. Now, yeah, I totally tricked my wife. You know, I played the slow song. And nothing else matters.
Oh, I like that song. It's not so scary.
Yeah, see? They changed. They evolved. So we get to the show, all right? And we get there, we sit down. I forget. I'm domesticated now. She's like, is there a brochure? I'm like, all right. We're looking around the stadium, brochure, whatever. Now, here's when you know you're too old to be going to concerts. First of all, the name of the bands is already a tragic mistake. Here's the opener. So you ready for this? Just the names. Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer. Okay, all right. Did you hear? All right. You hear that? You hear that? You hear that? Let me tell you something about Slayer fans. That was the scariest time of my life when the Slayer fans showed up. That's the first time I feared my own race. I'm not even kidding you. I feared my own race. They looked like the extras from Lord of the Rings. Right before Slayer came out, someone came out and release the Slayer fans. And they came out of nowhere, under the ground, tattooing their faces. Slayer! We're here to witness Slayer! And I'm hovering my wife, like, everything's gonna be okay. We're only gonna be on for like 15 minutes. Slayer! Slayer! We're gonna be safe. So Slayer's about to go on right before Metallica. The lights go out. Now, I forget I'm domesticated, so when the lights go out of the show, I still get that giddy feeling. The show's starting. Because I'm used to, you know, beauty and the beast. Why are they so mean to the beast?
They don't get better, Daddy.
So... So the lights go out, and I hear, is there a train coming? And I turn around, and there's about 500 Slayer fans, and they're heading right for the stage, and they're not using the aisles to get there. Chairs are being flung, people flying up in the air. I looked at my wife like, every man for himself.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
What was that ruckus? What ruckus? I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
Does this mean we're not friends anymore? I'm in my prime.
You're mine. Ain't it cool?
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow. Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
right. DJ Nubis.
And DJ Neko.
Here with you, and I'm already kicking off the music too soon. There we go.
I'm a little rusty here with this podcasting thing. You've been on YouTube too long.
Yeah, right. I forgot what I'm supposed to do.
We were podcasters, strictly podcasters, for years.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe 4 years ago, really jumped into the full...
Yeah,
YouTube.
it was like we decided to go mainly YouTube channel, do more video work. Still putting out the music, but it was a little bit different. And then, we still wanted to do stuff like this where we do the audio, but then I can just kind of transfer it over to just like a background for the audio, and then people can check it out as we do our classic reflections, where we kind of go back, find an album that we really like, and then talk about it.
And this is my first choice. Every other time it's been your choice, but I've been kind of really hammering this one, especially because it's one of my favorite bands ever, number one. And number two, I just realized that it is the 25th anniversary of the release of this album.
Yep.
And the album we are speaking about is The Wisconsin Death Trip by Static X, one of my favorite bands. It was one of the first things that DJ Anubis and I actually kind of, I don't want to say bonded over, but he didn't expect me to enjoy metal as much as I do, and the person who introduced me and him, he was talking to this person, and he was kind of asking, okay, well, what kind of music does she like? And I literally, this is 2002, right? And I'd really been into Static X for years, and I think I had just gone to see them, and this other person was like, well, she really likes this band Static X, and it just kind of shocked him that, because Static X was big, but not huge, and I think they were kind of, there was a few songs that got put in movies that kind of blew up for Static X as well. And so he was just kind of surprised that I was really into this industrial style metal band, and so that's kind of that, and Sepultura, because that was what was playing in his car the first night that he picked me up for our first date, which this is the celebration of our 22 years of dating. We just we met June 28th, 2002.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. Obviously, at one point the band was called Static, and they were going to go with that. But when Wayne Static was visiting his sister, he saw a book on her table called The Wisconsin Death Trip, and he thought, well, maybe that would be a great name. But the label at the time thought it was just too long, so they never just called it Static X. But clearly the album had an impact, and the story behind it, and I'll let Neko kind of break it down in a minute, but interesting facts about this record. I think the band, if I recall, they were initially introduced or met, or I should say recommended by Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins. And he's the one that kind of got them introduced to the label and signed eventually. I don't think he had anything to do with their signing per se, but just the name recognition probably said, oh, okay, well,
he made the introductions.
Right. But the funny thing about this record, it is a good record, and I really do like it, but it's funny because I do like the first part of it, like the first 2 or 3 songs, and then I get to the last 2 or 3 songs were my favorites. So it's like bookends in terms of the songs that I really like on this record. But as a whole, it's still very good. It's their
I've worn this album out. I can remember playing Final Fantasy VII all day, listening to this on repeat. Because number one, I loved the album, but I was with my ex at the time, and he would work on the weekends because he was working at Circuit City, which doesn't exist anymore. And it's a retail place, so you have to work a lot of weekends. And I would just stay at his place, and I couldn't. He had a really overly complicated stereo system that connected to his surround sound and to his PlayStation, and I would just sit and play Final Fantasy VII all day listening to The Wisconsin Death Trip.
That's the best way to play video games.
Right?
like I said, I'll let Neko describe like kind of what the backstory is, but the album, of course, is taken after a 1970 book written by Michael Leslie called Wisconsin Death Trip, and I'll let you take it from there about what it's actually about the book itself. It doesn't really necessarily mean every song on this album is really a direct reflection of that, but it's kind of influenced by that book.
It's really crazy because Michael Leslie was doing his master's thesis, and he came across some photographs that I guess had been preserved, and it was really he was kind of taken aback by some of them because there was lots of pictures of dead baby funerals, like for this, and these are between like the late 1890s and early 1900s to 1910. And in Wisconsin, and he was going to the University of Wisconsin, so this is why he kind of was able to find these things. They were preserved, and he was at the university. So when he sees these, and, you know, even in the 60s, it's not that long ago, right? Like, if you think about 1900 to 1960, it's not that long ago, but so much has changed. And we can think, like, nowadays, you see on TV when it gets really cold, people will take the boiling water in Wisconsin and they'll like throw it up in the air and it freezes. So you got to think like back in the 1890s and early 1900s where there's really no electricity. They're a little further north, so it's dark. Like it gets dark at like 4:00, and the sun doesn't come back up until like 7:30. And it's a long winter. And again, there are not the modern amenities. There is no like snowplow clearing the path so you can get to and from places. It's not even like you're not even driving anywhere. So he starts finding a lot of these pictures, and it's depicting like a lot of childhood death. That this I can't remember, let me see if it says it, Van Schack, Charles Van Schack, he was the photographer, and he was working for Black River Falls newspaper. Mm-hmm. So the Black River Falls newspaper, you know, they covered what was going on in this small town, and it's really, this is another crazy thing, because I read a book, it was called I think it's called A Dependable Wife, and it kind of took place, it was a fiction book, and it kind of took place in this time too, and they talk about like how, you know, it's a hard winter, the illness, there are no real hospitals around, so people, like the illness would spread like wildfire, and so Michael Leslie really started getting interested, so he found these photographs, and then he saw that he had a lot of I think like 8,000 glass negatives from all of his work, and he started putting it together by going through the microfiche newspaper articles from the Black River Falls, and then like kind of seeing these stories come in front of his life by, he'll read something about like, you know, Mr. Smith's baby died from I don't know, disease, and then they would like see a lot of these negatives, and I don't know if you've seen these older pictures, but a lot of the negatives, it scratched into them, they would always kind of put like the date and like maybe the name, or the photographer will put their name on it. So he started piecing together like these little stories, so it was like a photojournalistic, he made it photojournalistic, like he took the work of the newspaper and this photographer and kind of pieced together life back then, and it was pretty grim. And in that fiction book that I was reading, there were a lot of times where they talk about people who kind of lose their mind, and there's a lot of violence in the wintertime because there's nothing. You're literally like eating your harvest like through the winter. It doesn't even really get super warm until like April, so you're talking like October to April. It's dark, people start losing their shit. Mm-hmm. A lot of mental illness, a lot of people killing and that was what the book really was. It was kind of like a mystery book where it was like people were getting killed, and it borrowed a lot of this from the life of what happened back in places like Wisconsin and these smaller towns. And now you flash to the 60s, and again, it's really not that long, but I'm sure as a student, and he's sitting there thinking, wow, we have all these amenities, we have heat, you know, we're not like heating our house with coal or heating our house with wood, and we've got a university now, and it's just interesting. But there are still a lot of remote towns still to this day in 2024 where to get to a hospital that is capable of handling things, you're going 3-4 hours. Look at where your parents live, and they're not living like in the middle of nowhere, but just because it's such a big state, to get to like the real hospital, you're still going like 2-3 hours. They did have a medical center, but like, so it's really interesting to see so long ago like what these people went through, and then you see like why, yes, there were so many babies dying because it's cold and they don't have antibiotics the way that we do, and they're not able to fight off disease, and people are going crazy because there's really not a lot to do. Everybody they're like farmers, or maybe they're builders, and I actually had the Kindle version of this. I'm desperate to get a real version of this book, like an actual hardback version.
Well, apparently it's out of print. It has been for like 20, and this,
and that was the reprint, because it was originally published in the 70s, and then they reprinted it in, I think, by the University of New Mexico, reprinted it in 2000. But I looked at the ebook version, and I actually think it's the ebook version you can get like free online. Like if you just Googled it, I think that's what I did, and I just sat and I looked. So yes, maybe these songs are not directly representing. It's just it kind of gives you that feel. Like there are a couple of songs that you can kind of get that feel, but I fell in love
it was probably
with
just like a nice catchy thing. But we'll talk more about it as we go through the record. The funny thing about the first song here in this first single that I ever heard, Push It, when I was going to Ozfest quite frequently, they'd always put out these like compilations of different bands that were on Ozfest, and Static X appeared obviously one year, and Push It was on that compilation line. I think Kid Rock was on there at the time before he blew up, and that's how Ozfest kind of operated in terms of introducing the world to these up-and-coming bands. I saw Slipknot before they blew up, just all sorts of things. But Static X is one of these bands that caught fire, and Push It was their first single, so we're going to go ahead and check that out now. You'll find that a lot of the songs on Wisconsin Death Trip aren't very long. There's like a couple towards the end, The Trance is in Motion in December, that are a little bit...
Oh yeah, I love December.
Yeah, they're very good tunes, but most of them are just straight to the point. This was a band that was at the height of the new metal phase. We got to meet the band and get some signing from them, in fact, for their album Cannibal, some years back before Wayne Stack passed away, unfortunately. But very cool. But it was so funny because we were laughing. We still laugh about it.
His hair is like so big.
Yeah, he's not that tall. When we think about guys like Danny Filth or Wayne Stack, you think they're just larger than life, but really they're small. They're tiny dudes. Like I'm taller than that guy. But he came in, he had a couple of chicks on his arms. I just thought that was the funniest fucking thing. Like, he was playing the rock star, it. But it's unfortunate. It was like one of those last-minute things, and not many people... I think 3 Inches of Blood was the other band that was there that day, and...
How did we even find out about it?
It was at the last minute.
Was that when I was working at that store next door?
Probably.
Because this is... Our area is kind of going through its own little Wisconsin death trip. It's on the downgrade, and we're kind of trying to get out of here, which is why we're going to sell our house. But, like, when we first moved here, there was a really cool record store, Record and Tape Traders, and... I swear, you used to buy your concert tickets there. They used to always have bands, and that's where we saw Static X. And there was a little, like, boutique-y clothing store. And I worked there part-time, mainly just so I could get the discount, a couple times a week. And I was not making enough money to... I bet you my paycheck covered, like, one bill, if anything. But I used it for just fun money, and I ended up buying... clothing from there all the time because I liked their clothing. So right next door was Dots, and then there was Record and Tape Traders, and then the shoe store was on the other side of Dots, and all that shit is gone now. We got a Harbor Freight though there now, and a Five Guys, but just some of the stuff that we really miss, and there's nothing to replace it. Like there's nothing
Right.
like interesting. There's no clothing stores anymore. Like around the corner over by where Planet Fitness is, there used to be a huge store called AJ Wright. Remember Sarah and I would go in there all the time but none of that is around anymore. And
no, those are the things you kind of miss about local shops like that, doing cool little things like that. Because I remember even before that, in the 90s, there was probably another type of record and tape traders, and there wasn't any band showing up, but I was in there perusing, and like the guy who was working at the desk, he's like, yeah, if you like metal, come back later, because we're having like a release party for Pantera's the Blue album, I forget which it was called, Far Beyond Driven, and like they were giving away like videos. That's how some of the videos for VHSs for like the Sepultura and White Zombie videos I got for like Homemade or whatever were on there. But
oh wow.
But it was the last minute thing, so like again, there was only like 8 or 9 of us in there to get all this shit. And of course he's like, this has like so and so bands. I'm like, right here, you can give it to me. Because no one else really knew who they were, so I was like, okay.
And it's crazy, like, yeah, I really do miss, like, you moved down, because we did not live super close to each other, and he moved down towards here, and he's like, yeah, I could live here. There's a lot of good stuff around here. And now it's like
not that way anymore. I mean, there's still some nice stuff. I mean, they upgraded. They got a Chipotle now, and
we have Chili's.
Yeah. So it has a few things, but the problem is the other parts of it. It's run down. So I'm ready to move. I'm ready for a new scenery, to be honest. Anyway, let's check out the first track, kicking it off, Static X from the Wisconsin Death Trip. This is Push It.
Singing the next song.
Yeah, so getting into the second song, there's some little bit of information on this one, because you know, Static X was sort of like your hybrid new metal band with industrial influence, and so they tend to have like intros and stuff to something really big with bands in general. Is like they'll throw in some intros from movies or whatever. And so this particular one, towards the end of the song, "I'm With Stupid," which is the second track. There's a little bit of a sample dialogue from Linnea Quigley in the '88 film.
Oh, it's her? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Sorority Babe and Slime Bowl Rama appears in that. So it's kind of cool to get a little bit of that in there. In fact, I just saw that for the first time like 5 or 6 months ago, and then I watched the second one because they just released like a sequel to it. So. But of course, we got to meet Linnea at one of the Joe Bob shindigs down in Philadelphia, a couple years ago, or Pennsylvania.
It was at the drive-in, right? The Mahoning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's not Philadelphia. We drove through
That's why I
Philadelphia.
corrected myself. It's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania is the state. Philadelphia is a city.
I get that. That's why I said I corrected
It was
myself.
Lehighton.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So.
Fucking Nazi over here.
Oh, am I now?
Other than that, I don't know what the song is really too much about. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's probably a lot of more, as Neko pointed out, the band just kind of pulling from personal experiences and life experiences and whatnot. But I think part of the Wisconsin Death Trip as a album title is just more of a cover for the things they wanted to sing about and just sound really cool, which it is a great name for an album. So, but yeah, that was kind of an interesting little tidbit there about the outro there for that. But this is also one of my favorite songs from the record. I really love the first part of these first three songs. I know number 4 is one of Neko's favorite tracks, which we'll get to. But your feelings on this particular song?
I love it.
I love it.
I love this album. Like, if we're talking about when we're saying like what a perfect album is, for me, it's this. Like, it's like the perfect amount of, you know, it's heavy enough, but then it's industrial, but then you got, I don't need like the screamies all the time.
Right.
I can deal with like a nice gruff voice, but I love Wayne Static so much. He's just so great on stage. And
well, it was funny. I remember early on when we were dating, I was introducing her to Devin Townsend, and so she was asking me, "Is like, is this Static X?" I'm like, "No, it's Devin Townsend," but I can understand like why she would pick up on the vocals, because they kind of similar in some ways with the way they scream and bring in the cleans and stuff like that, so they have a similar singing style. So yeah, here we go with track number 2. This is "I'm With Stupid."
Yeah, it was. Very stupid.
Very stupid. All right, we are back.
Oh,
Yeah.
love this album so much. I'm transported back to 19-year-old
Bringing back
Missy.
memories.
Yeah, I blasted this and like I don't know how many fucking albums of theirs like for years, just nonstop. And at this time in 1999, I had my powder blue Dodge Omni. Remember, I had a little Static X sticker on it.
Yep.
And then when I had my green Neon, I had a little Static X sticker on it. And then I had my red Neon, I had a little Static X sticker on it.
So this album was produced by Grammy-nominated producer Ulrich Wild, who has worked with bands like Dethklok, Pantera, White Zombie, and the Deftones. He actually got Best Engineered Album for White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000 at one point. So Static X, hit the gold mine when they got him to produce the record. Because this record did go, it went platinum, so they did very well with this. And their second record is actually pretty strong too. We always laughed about the time that I forgot about Shadow Zone existing, and so we were arguing about which was like the third or fourth record. And she was like, "No, you're missing one." I'm like, "No, I'm not.
He doesn't care for Shadow Zone.
Shadow Zone, the game, it's like the GameCube or the Xbox version of that album. It wasn't very good. I didn't like it. Cannibal was like a nice return to the music at that point. But anyway, there's always bands that have ups and downs. But.
It's, sometimes I think we talk about bands like just trying to experiment, and they're a very experimental band. They were playing with stuff that people play with nowadays, with adding in, noise, adding in sound effects, and like you were saying, a good producer can take something and turn it into an album. We've watched so many musical documentaries, and even with like the Beatles, the one that we were watching, you're looking at the most talented musicians in the world who are all fighting, and it takes a strong producer to kind of like get them to complete an album and get them together.
It's so funny because there's these producers, and a lot of times they're former musicians, and they become really hot commodities. So for a while in the late 90s, early 2000s, Devin was producing these other bands like Soilwork and stuff like that. And so but after a while they get kind of tired, like Peter Tattigran from Hypocrisy and Pain. Like, he was like a hot commodity. Everybody was searching him out to produce their records. And after a while, he's like, dude, I had to slow down. Like, I mean, the money was probably decent for them to pay him to do it, but it's like, just between his own,
his
everything,
own life, and he can't focus on Pain or any of his other projects.
And I look at and then you had the bands themselves, like she kind of brought with the Beatles, but Korn, like, I believe the first couple of records were Ross Robinson, and so like he became like a hot commodity, but. After a while, Korn was like, we kind of just wanted to go and try something different because we were doing things the same way. And a lot of people say, well, why would you change it? But when you're trying to sort of reinvent yourself, sometimes you will do that. I think, when Metallica did the Black Album, they got Bob Rock, who had done stuff like Def Leppard and stuff like that. So, to me, you kind of see where that was falling off, but to Metallica, that was probably like a good move on their part because that's where they wanted to go.
Yeah, they were a great metal and rock band at the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they lost some fans, but then they gained like a legion of rock fans.
They're also like a fucking household name now. Like when you're thinking of like us, who I like even some of the newer stuff. It's not a big deal. I'm like, if it sounds good, I'm enjoying it. But like. Some people are like, it falls off after like Master of Puppets. That's
me. I ain't gonna lie, that's me.
But for me, I'm like, I liked the Black Album. You gotta think how young I was when it came out. I was only in the 6th grade. So like I experienced that, and then I went back to Injustice for All. I remember I walked to Record and Tape Traders and I wanted the Black Album, but it was fucking sold out. And then I saw, like, in the Metallica bin, there was Injustice for All. So I bought Injustice for All because I liked Metallica's Black Album. And that was like, that sometimes is how people are more, you know, they get exposed to things, and it's not always a bad thing to, like, you know, experiment, and you can bring in new fans and expose the fans to their old stuff too. But I think without the Black Album, Metallica would not have become that household name that they are. Like, if you say Metallica, my parents know who Metallica is.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah, even people don't really listen to or know the name. They know it. Well,
I wanted to say one thing, too. I found the ebook of the Wisconsin Death Trip, and I think this is the re-release one from University of New Mexico, because there's, like, a foreword and stuff, and they're, like, kind of talking about Lizzie. But, one thing that was interesting, it said, most people focus on a happier agrarian America. Like, when you think of the good old days, you see the pictures of the farmer out there with his pitchfork and the kids, like, rolling down the hills and all. But nobody ever looked at the death, the decline, and what was happening as industrial and urban America was kind of coming to fruition. And most historians have concerned themselves with American aspirations and hope, and few ever took a look at its fears and nightmares. And they said, Lizzie offers us a unique opportunity not to face the American dream, but the American nightmare, a nightmare reflected not only in the mind, but other kinds of behavior as well. And I find that interesting, because we, you know, think turn of the century 1900s, how many, like, factories were being built, people were moving to cities because they knew there was money to be made. It's hard to make money even now as a farmer, because, you know, there's, like, sharecropping, and you farm and you're selling it to other people, and you're selling it for pennies on the dollar.
There's a bunch of kids in the cornfields killing people.
Exactly.
Adults.
So what was really interesting is, like, we always do look at these historical things, and we're like, oh, we're going to the future, we're going into the industrial age, and then we're leaving this farm behind. But you don't see, like, the effects of these small farming towns, like how bad it was. On the flip side, I don't know if you ever read The Jungle. Who is it by? Upton Sinclair. It's a novel, but it's fiction. But he took a lot of this from first person. Like, he went to Chicago in the meatpacking area where they were processing meat, and was firsthand with these immigrant families, most of them from, like, Eastern Europe, coming to make a better life for themselves. And it just shows, like, you hear all these stories about the wealth in America, and they come, and it's just not what they expected. And he did interview a lot of people, and it's kind of like what Lizzie is doing, not by interviewing them, but by, he's just going through the newspapers, picking out clues, looking at these pictures. Why are there so many pictures of funerals? I've got 8,000 negatives here, and there's, you know, 3,000 funerals that they're taking. Why is there so much death? And then he starts digging in, looking at the obituaries, and I find that really interesting. It probably took him a long time to, like, turn this into something that you can piece together as a story. And again, if we can find this in hardback, in print, I did see it on Amazon for $130, but I would love to have it myself, because he knows I love historical stuff.
The macabre.
I do like the macabre, but, like, again, we always look through our history and our past through these, like, rose-tinted, like, Kodachrome memories in our brain that might be running like you're running a home movie. But let's really be realistic. Like, it might have been good for you, but was it good around? And we kind of block that out. Like, even as us, you know, the 90s are not that long ago, but they are long enough ago that the world was completely different. You know, you take that back to the 70s, and now you're going back to the early 1900s, and you always hear about these good old days, the good old days. Well, for me, I think about the good old days, and I think about, like, the 90s. That's my good old days. Like, I loved growing up in the 90s. It was just enough technology that I felt like everything was cutting edge, but then it was just separated enough from technology that you're not, like, I feel like we're all bionic now. We're tethered, like.
That's true.
So.
In fact, we'll expand more on some of this. I want to spread some of this topic stuff out because we get
we get bogged down. Let's hit the next song.
So this was the third song on the album, which was also the third single release, which is funny just in the sense that with all the good songs on there, they could have like drawn this album out a little bit in terms of release. Like, you know, Def Leppard, when they did Hysteria.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Yeah.
They already had a whole album ready. They just kept touring.
Yep, touring, and they released like 6 or 7 singles over a course of 3 to 4 years, 5 years. And like, I mean, I don't think these guys would have been able to do that, but we talked about the later part of the album. There's some really, really good tracks on there, so it's a little surprising they stopped after just the third one. But this is this particular song appeared on a few different soundtracks, like Universal Soldier: The Return and Bride of Chucky. It's called Bled for Days.
Bled for days. So, something I told you, there is a documentary called Evil Disco that they're working on right now to celebrate the 25 years of Static X, and it's called Evil Disco: The Rise, Fall, and Regeneration of Static X. I watched the promo for it, and it looks like they've got some top people. Like, it has Dave Navarro, Jamie Josta, Dino, people from Fear Factory, Dope, all like talking about Wayne and talking about the movie and the music that they felt like, you know, Static X was different but the same, but like different enough that people really, I think, just they felt something for the band, right? Like, and it also, for me, it's like a big nostalgia trip because, like, I loved it, I was young, but...
Well, one thing that I thought was very interesting, and now this is, you know, I don't want to drag this on for this, but... So I remember... Because there's always, you know, when it comes to the metal scene, it's always been a huge debate about, like, do you really consider new metal metal? Is it really true metal? Is it my favorite genre? No. But one thing I've learned is that a lot of the bands that play, that even extreme bands, they don't give a flying fuck if, like Slayer, when they went out in the early 2000s for Tattoo to Earth, they alternated headlining with Slipknot. And they didn't care because they liked Slipknot. They liked the music. Over in Europe, it's the same way. Like, they don't, like, the fans might still care, but the bands themselves, they can play Walkin' or whatever, and you have a slew of bands like Korn, Deftones playing those festivals along with Dismember and, you know, these heavy acts, Cannibal Corpse, whatever. But when we went to go see the new version of Static X, when they got a guy to fill in and he was dressed up in a mask and everything, which was really iconic for Wayne at the hair. Unfortunately, I had a mishap with my blood pressure, and I missed. It got like this is why I think it's such a big moment, because it was so packed in that little place. Even its town stage is not that small, but compared to how many people were in there,
compared to what it normally is, like we've been to shows there a lot.
Yeah.
When we say packed,
and it wasn't just like teeny boppers, man. There was a lot of heavy metal dudes in there. They all came. They enjoyed the music.
It was so crazy too, because you said you were going to the bathroom, and I said I asked you if you wanted something to drink, and you said you wanted water. And I went to get, or did I go to I can't remember. But either way,
you went to go get water. I was like sitting against the wall, and I passed out twice.
We like separated for just a short minute, and I came back, and I'm like, I had that horrible like feeling. I knew something was wrong, and I started freaking out, and I was like, "Where's my husband?" Like, I don't know why I even knew something was wrong, because it's not like him, and he's easy to spot in a crowd. Like, he's pretty tall, and I can see him, and I did not see him, so I'm over where we were. And I start freaking out, and I start looking for him, and I'm like, oh, where's my husband? Where's my husband? Where's my husband? And they took me, like, through the back, because they're like, we took him out back, and I'm like, oh my god. And they're like, he wouldn't let us call an ambulance, and I was like, call an ambulance, and he's like, no, I'm fine, I just got overheated. And, so I gave him some water, and we sat outside, and we...
But it was just, it got, like, when you think of... Because this wasn't, again, Wayne was already passed away, so...
It was like 2
your
years
immediate
ago.
thought is, okay, they're going to do this thing, and some people were, like, for and against this, because they felt like it was kind of exploiting his death. But even though you had the other 3 members of the band there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was packed, like, probably more packed than it should have been. They really sold the shit out of that venue. And again, it wasn't just like the kids you would normally see, like a kiddie show or some shit. This was heavy metal dudes there.
I mean, it's been 10
and so
years
that tells
since
me, like,
Wayne passed away now.
Right, yeah. And so we'll talk more about that as we go forward. But now, track 4, which is Neko's favorite, called Love Dump, would you consider this a good breakup song?
I love this song. I really hate you.
It's funny because, yeah, she likes that, and she likes Stuck a lot by Biscuit. Very angry song.
Maybe I have like a lot of unresolved anger inside of me.
I'm sick of you too.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Go female blowing up my phone line. Okay, we'll do a Limp Bizkit one another day, but we're gonna stick with Wayne Static.
So let's get jamming. Here's some Love Dump.
I can't believe I'm letting you do this to me. I can't believe I'm letting you do this to me. I'm letting you do this to me.
And that particular track actually appeared on the soundtrack for the horror movie Valentine, which I actually own on DVD. Actually,
is that the one with what's
Dave Gorians from Angel?
Oh my god!
And it has our girl from Starship in there as well, Starship Troopers.
Mm.
A lot of familiar. It has your girl from Grey's Anatomy in there, even though she's not on the show anymore, I don't think.
Mm.
But yeah, a lot of good-looking ladies in there, all dying. It's just how it went, unfortunately. Slasher flick.
And I think, like, for a while, Wayne Static, we were kind of, like, talking off as we were enjoying it, about Wayne's death. You know, he had serious addiction problems, and Static X released their last album as a band in 2009, and I know Wayne was kind of touring on his own for a while, but I did not know how bad, like, the band breakup really was until you start reading people's condolences and you know.
Well, I'd be curious about, because here's the thing, like, when we went to see them, the signing, and this often happens with lead singers, it's just a lead singer ego thing. It happens a lot. Daily Roth is notorious in life, and there's David Coverdale. There's a possibility that Wayne, when we saw him, like I said, he had that rock star image. The other guys just walked out just normal, but you know, he had the two ladies, and you know, it's fine. Like, I didn't really get offended by it, but I think sometimes these guys, because you know, it's his name on the band, it's Static, you know, X, Wayne Static, whatever, but perhaps that led to some of the beef. Like, I think I saw just a quick article on who's the fucking chick? I'm just a girl or whatever.
Gwen Stefani?
Yes, their old band. Like, they had the similar. No Doubt. Thank you.
No Doubt. Like, started off a very different band, and her brother was actually in the band.
But the thing is, like, and although her situation probably was different, because even though she was getting attention, it wasn't like she was actually seeking it. Because she was female, she was getting it, and the band got jealous, which they did one of the songs that kind of based around that. But anyway, like, it happens, and so you have to wonder if that kind of led to Static X kind of like breaking up, because I watched as bands that I've always liked. I mean, fuck, dude, even stuff with Sepultura and Max and all that shit, you know, there's always some sort of fallout that happens, and
it could be ego, but it also could be he was getting egotistical,
yeah.
And he was an addict, so he was out of control.
Right,
like,
right.
When I was watching that promo for the documentary, they were like, he was out of control, and so
yeah,
combine that together, that could end a band. And but the bandmates, they say they have nothing but fond memories of him, and they were all together for 15 years. Like,
well, that's the thing. Like, you can have a breakup in a band, but just say, look, you know, we love them to death, but we can't coexist. I think this is a problem that even man, my mind is really drawing a blank these days. They did the album Stone Temple Pilots.
Okay.
Like, you know,
Lynn Staley.
Yeah, he was at AIC.
Oh, sorry.
Same issue, though.
Sorry.
AIC had the same fucking issue. Both those singers, heavy into drugs, talented fucking singers, artists, and writers, but the bands could not keep going, and they were struggling to put shit out because it's like, look, dude, we're trying to make a career out of this. You're blowing it on as dope and shit, and it's like fucking your life up, and it's fucking us up. And hell, Pantera, like Phil, like, he dealt with a lot of these issues as well. It's all common, so it doesn't shock me that they were struggling to continue on if Wayne was battling substance abuse.
And on top of that, like, you know, his death, we know his widow, she passed away from suicide about a year and a few, because he died in 2014. She died January of 2016, so like a year and a few months after that. She really struggled, like, you can tell, and she loved Wayne. Like, she had like full tattoo sleeves of like Wayne on her arm, and it's really sad. Like,
right. Well, I think the next couple of songs, I mean, there's not going to be a whole lot to really talk about in terms of content, but we're going to go ahead and play the next two tracks, I Am and Oscillation. before we come back, just because these are kind of shorter songs, so we'll just go ahead and play through them a little bit. I do want to talk about the song after that, Stem, but one quick note, we talked about how their music appears on a lot of soundtracks and stuff, but it also appeared in a lot of video games like Duke Nukem and Brutal Legend, so the popular culture for Static X was very big. Like, they were just very accessible for the mainstream, and it was easy to tell with some of the songs we've already heard. So let's break into I Am and Ostagulation. Here we go. Good stuff. Just talking about how this album kind of flows together very nicely. Starts out really strong. You get those like sort of like, obviously they had the first 3 songs which were singles, which made sense. I think after this next track, because I want to talk a little bit about that one, then we'll probably play a couple more, and then the last 3 we're going to dive into a little bit deeper, just because, like I said, for me it's like a bookend. This is like
a groove section.
Yeah.
They're not really long songs,
right.
But it's like everything kind of flows together.
Yeah, and that's
the whole
why
album.
That's why it's a good record, though, because they got the beginning, the end, and then they've got the meat in the middle. But interestingly enough about STEM is that the intro to it is sampled from the 1989 experimental horror film Begotten. The only time I got to see this was on YouTube in the mid-2000s when a friend of mine, Dane, recommended it. It's a silent film, and it's very interesting because it delves into what do they call here? The way they describe this film's storyline draws upon the creation myths in Christianity, Celtic mythology, and Slavic paganism. But I always remember it because there's no noise, there's no sound, but you have this person who's kind of sitting there, and then they're kind of like disemboweling themselves, but it's like black and white, so it's like you really don't see the gore, even though you do see the dark marks and stuff. But it's sort of like a cult movie directed by Elias Murridge, and it's only about a little over an hour, but still very interesting.
Who told you to watch this?
Dane.
It sounds like Dane.
Yeah, right. So obviously I had to check it out because he was always the one showing me different things to check out. But I did thought that was an interesting thing about this particular track. So before we come back, we'll listen to STEM. interesting. That had a bit more pop in it, and so more than I remembered. But like, it's funny because it reminds me. I don't know if you remember the band, but they were called Six Underground. They appeared on the Saints soundtrack, which was really. It's not really a metal or rock soundtrack, but it had David Bowie on it, and
The Saints just an amazing movie,
right? And it just had a lot of good like popish type songs, and so. That was kind of cool because it had a bit of a vibe like that. Like if you put it on that soundtrack, it would have fit right in with everything else they were doing. But yeah, that was interesting for sure. Now we're going to go to the next couple tracks, and then of course we're going to dive into the last three. The next two tracks are "Swit of the Bud" and "Fix." Do you remember much about those songs?
I'm so bad with the song names because they name their shit most of the time, not the name of like what the song is.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was
like
something weird.
Yeah.
Offbeat.
So. I actually wanted to. I was kind of like reading through a little bit more of the Wisconsin Death Trip. And as I'm reading this like online book and listening to it, I can see like Wayne grew up at one point. He was in like Chicago, and I can see how like taking something very Midwest and seeing how like because he was evil disco. You know, he probably really, or it could just be something that sounded cool and he was just like, yeah, this is going to be the name of our album, and I'm thinking way too deep into this. But like as I go through this and you're seeing these photos and reading you know, these descriptions and stuff, you start to really think like maybe he had some like peace of mind in his mind, thinking like, okay, like I do kind of relate to this in some way, because we know he battled addiction and depression and stuff, and that's really what this entire book is about. Like summertime was good for you know, this entire little town, but winter was bad. You know, it's when they say you're like in the bad dark period of your, well, they had like months of bad dark here, and even during the day when it's like 2 degrees and you know you're trying to trudge through things, it's just interesting. And I'm wondering, clearly I can't ask him because he's gone, if he ever really thought about that, like if he thought about how maybe, you know, he was a little bit like the Wisconsin Death Trip himself. Like he had two sides. You know, people are always saying like he was the greatest guy, but then like he had like this, you know, dark past, or dark passenger.
Well, yeah. Because I mean, a lot of times, especially with abusers, you know, users, they have their own demons. So like, and they usually will convey them in a certain way. Like chances are, Fix is some sort of like relevance to that, you know, in some way probably. I can't say with 100% certainty because I didn't write the song, but easily guess. You know, probably early on, like I don't think he was near as bad here as he was down the road, and that's what happens sometimes. Success will lead to a lot of like,
and it snowballs.
Yep, AIC, Stone Temple. You know, they were not as wealthy or not as much money was coming in at the time they were writing those great records. As it started coming in, they were still writing, but it was like you had to, like, the band had to guide your singer through the process so you can be coherent to do lyrics and writing. But the lyrics, you know, you would sit there and you say Lane Staley like was a genius. And same way they said this about Cobain too. Like, now I don't think Cobain was near as good as Staley was in terms of writing lyrics, but obviously people will give Cobain a lot of kudos for his greatness in Nirvana and whatnot, but he dealt with his own demons as well.
Even Devin Townsend, like I'm looking through all these
early on he had his own issue. I don't think it was so much drugs, but it just mental disorders and probably ADHD.
He put himself into treatment because he couldn't handle it, and good for him. Like that's
a lot of his was
really
like
brave.
self-image too, because like I remember when he was with Vi, didn't have the physique, you know, he wasn't eating well, and he was kind of big, and he had bald, and you know, he was a goofy looking dude, but he acted goofy to kind of deal with that pain. Like that was his part of being a comedian. He's always had that comedic outlook on life, but he started.
It's almost
getting
like self-deprecating.
Yeah, so he started getting better and eating better, and he got married, had a kid, and now he's like 100% the other direction. Like he's a healthy dude. He's in a zen. He's not angry as much anymore, and so life is much better.
He even our good friend gave DJ Anubis a present from Devin Townsend, who did a little cameo for him, and he even mentioned that you know when I didn't have any money and I needed to stay on my friend's couch, and he's like, so that's what Jason stayed with us off and on for a few years, like while he was doing his thing, and God bless him, now he's doing the best he could ever be. Like, life is great for him. I'm really proud of him, and things are going so good, and I'd like to hope that maybe us giving him a little support, even though it is...
he's told me he's appreciative that what we did. I mean, and sometimes that's just what you need. I mean, a little bit of help, And
it's hard. Like, our house is tiny, so having 3 adults, like, on top of each other... It was helpful that he wasn't here all the time, but like we don't have like this giant house, so like he was invading Scotty's space.
My man cave.
But I couldn't have.
But I mean, it's not anything intentional. It's just how it is.
It's our house is so small, but we definitely didn't want him to be like out on the street, and he was not in a place at the time to be like he had nowhere to go, and we're like sure, and then he started being kind of successful musically.
Oh yeah.
And then he was like, you know what?
He still puts out some music.
I'm going to go back to college and get my master's degree, because I definitely, and I think that's the same college where his now wife, that's where he met his now wife, and I think that's why he went back to college, honestly, because I think she was there, and they had just kind of started meeting and stuff. And he was like, I'm going to go to college, and then the pandemic happened, and it kind of like
sidetracked.
Yeah, it's kind of like put him on a whole 180 like career path, but he's doing great still. Good for him.
But anyway, here's the next 2 tracks: Sweat of the Bud and Fix. Yeah, man. I'd kind of forgotten about how Fix was there because you actually hear some clean vocal singing, like not your normal stuff you would hear from Wayne there with that. I know that the bass is at times, like on songs like Push It, he would be the one kind of doing the growling sometimes. So there was some shared vocal duties there. So I don't know if that was completely Wayne, but I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. So now we are down to the last 3 tracks, but we're going to take them one by one here because, like I said, I enjoy like the first 3, and then I enjoy the last 3.
You enjoy the first 4.
4. Well, you enjoy the first
4.
4.
Oh, did we do that yet?
No, we haven't, but I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to do next yet. But,
that's what we're going to do next.
But we're to the title track of the album, Wisconsin Death Trip, and I think, as Neko said, I kind of looked at the lyrics. It doesn't really seem to match the book or anything, but it's just something they probably are using as a reference of their own Wisconsin Death Trip, lyrically, I guess.
I'll give you like a little excerpt of something from the Wisconsin Death Trip that was collected by the author. He pulled this out of out of one of the newspapers, and here we go. The naked body of the wife of Fritz Armbuster, a woman who had worked in Best Butcher Shop, was found frozen by the roadside near Albion, 6 miles from Black River Falls. She and her husband had been separated, he living in town, she living alone in the house. Although no one had noticed that she had been suffering from any physical or mental disorder, 2 years ago the loss of a child is said to have affected her very deeply and may have led to her becoming partially demented. The probability is that she rose in a fit of delirium and wandered away. So these are the type of things that the author started collecting alongside these pictures, and he's realizing that the cold dark kind of really fucked with people. I know it's kind of a downer, right? But that's that's really
kind of a downer.
That's really like what this whole book is about. Like we're really kind of seeing, as we're going forward from this agrarian lifestyle that was, in the past. Like, think about what the U.S. was in the 1800s. It's like, look at the fucking Civil War. We were fighting over plantations. That's, they say it's over state rights, but let's just, it was, the South had these gigantic plantations, and it's an agrarian lifestyle. And now, as that kind of life is kind of gone in the past and we're hitting more of the industrial age, you're seeing the effects of things, and you're really reading it and seeing the pictures and going, kind of being taken aback, going, wow, that's a little insane. So maybe, even though this is just a cool title, the Wisconsin Death Trip, maybe, it's kind of highlighting everyone's cold dark, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. This is Wisconsin Death Trip.
Push it on the 40, hook it up and right away. Most
motion. Get into the motion. So yeah, Wisconsin Death Trip brings us to the trance is in the motion. So more emotion. But I've always enjoyed this track a lot. Because I always found like these last two were a bit different than the rest of the record.
You're cracking me up.
Why?
You're just like, you sound like a radio DJ. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, boppers.
All right, boppers. You
The warriors are trying to get home. Jinxies.
Oh shit.
we are too much alike.
We have been together for way too long, which is okay, but
Yeah.
like funny. All
That's
right,
how you know
boppers.
you've met your match.
Have you met your match?
Yeah. My soulmate.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, we're not going to get all emotional here.
What?
We're not getting all emotional here.
But that's not what you said.
That's what I said.
That's not what
I'm
you said.
sticking to it. That's what I said.
Sounds like you said we're going to the mission here.
The mission's in motion.
Why don't I even talk to you?
I don't know. So, any thoughts on this song for you? No?
Besides, I love it. Like, everything on this album.
I love it all!
I love it all. What?
Alright, yeah.
So I was just
the
perusing.
wine's kicking in, the beer's kicking in.
I was perusing the Static X website, and they have some really cool. You could get like packages. So like, you can get.
When I think of the Ghosts and all the shit they've got for sale.
Oh, Ghost. So like they'll have like this one here. It's the Project Regeneration Volume 2 vinyl record and hoodie bundle.
Bundle.
So you get the hoodie. Here, I'll open up. You get the hoodie. Hold on. Project Regeneration Volume 2 is a collection of 13 brand new Static X songs which contain the final vocal performances and musical compositions of founding vocalist Wayne Static, along with the original Wisconsin Death Trip lineup featuring Tony Campos, Koichi Fukada, and Ken J. The new album was produced by the band's current vocalist Zero and mixed and mastered by longtime collaborator Yorick Wild and is the second installment of the two-part release. All vinyl record bundles come with a limited edition double sleeve, with both Volume 1 and 2 are able to slide into. You get an autographed full-length Volume 2 album in limited red vinyl, gatefold packaging, limited edition sleeve to put the Volume 1 and 2 in this bundle does not include Volume 1, limited edition hoodie, limited edition poster, cinch bag stickers, a digital download of the album upon release, and all singles as they are released.
Nice.
So it's like, and it's not that expensive, it's $135.
Yeah, it should be noted. Like, even though I missed the live thing they did with the reformation, basically. From what little I did catch, they were pretty incredible live.
We were there the whole time. We were just sitting outside, and granted, it was in the summer, so it's 100 degrees here.
Yeah,
It was cooler outside than it was inside.
Yeah, they oversold the venue, which, you know, look, I mean, it's good for the money, right? But for guys like me, I'm in my 50s, and you know, I can't be.
We old,
bitch. We old.
But I'm wearing my shirt from that. I'm actually a little too fat for this shirt right now. It's a little tight. What do you think?
I don't know. It enhances your boobs.
My boobs look good.
Yeah.
Yep.
The trance is in motion. Getting down to the last song, and I just read up on this. The song December is actually a cover of that band they did. So Deep Blue, whatever it was, that's actually their song. So this is a cover of that, even though Wayne was a part of that writing for that song.
It was Deep Blue Dream, and that's where he was with Ken Jay, who was the drummer of Static X.
So they just covered
Eric
that
Harris
song,
and
yeah.
Billy Corgan, who obviously went on to form Smashing Pumpkins, and that's how they made their... Billy Corgan provided the introductions and, got Wayne out there.
Yep. One thing we didn't mention, of course, there is a guy that's in place of Wayne now with the reformation. Zero, but it's been confirmed that it was alluded to, it was Edsel Dope, the guy that sings for Dope.
Is it him?
It's really him. He's the one.
That
the guy
makes
that
sense.
used
It sounds
Spin
like
Me
him.
Around, the cover for that, Fuck the Police cover, stuff like that. It's him. It was always rumored to be him, but it actually is him. They confirmed it is Edsel Dope being the singer for Static X. This probably is, without a doubt, my favorite track off the record, which weird that it's cover, but it's so well written and it's beautiful and it's just a nice vibe. It's kind of interesting because it's usually ballads aren't ones that finish off albums. Usually you kind of finish on a high note, but this to me is kind of like their ballad on this record. So we will come back after we play it and talk some more before we close it out. I got some things to mention about the YouTube channel and whatnot, but
Do you now?
This is December.
Still feel the cold. right, all right.
All right. All right, all right, all right. My Matthew McConaughey.
That was very good.
So, there you have it.
The Wisconsin Death Trip. One of my favorite albums ever. And it's kind of, like, insane that this was their, inaugural release, and it went platinum, and it formed a love for this band to me, like, beyond whatever I can imagine. Like, and it was also kind of like a little thing with he and I, like, when we first started dating, we had something in common. So Static X has always been important to me. Absolutely. Your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Still a great album, even better than I remembered it, even with the meat in there. Like, those are the songs you listen to the most, but like, I wasn't bored at all. They were doing different things and all the different songs in there. It's like we said, it flowed together very easily.
Yeah, you brought that up before. It's like, it was an album that was meant to be listened to from beginning to end.
Right.
So, like, and all of this, you would hear it at the ends of the songs to the beginnings of the songs. They were meant to connect.
Yeah, and so, like, it's, they flowed, but they all had, like, little different things about each one of them that set them different from the other, so you never got bored with it. So, very cool stuff. Still a very great album. Wayne Stack is definitely missed, which I would just say, make sure, get out to see these artists and bands that you love a lot, because, I got lucky enough to see certain people like Peter Steele from Typo before he passed, but never got a chance to see Chuck from Death or Ronnie James Dio, so I never got a chance to see them. So, that's a scary thing, because I got a chance to see, World Dane when he was with Sanctuary, but never got to see Nevermore. But at least I saw him. But that's the thing, man. Like, just, you never know when these people are going to pass away, man. Like, I think I saw Static X with Ozfest one year. I'm pretty sure that was the year I got the compilation. But
I've seen them a few times. I, especially before I met you, I'm trying to think. Once at the record theater.
You probably saw them around, because they came out around the late 99 or whatever.
So I've seen them a couple of times, and that's why, like, when the reunion was happening, it was like such a big deal. I was like, this is my jam. I was even reaching out to people who also loved Static X that I haven't talked to in years, that were kind of in my little Static X, like, Matt, I was like, are you going? And I know he went, but I did not see him. Like, so... No, you would have seen anybody there. It was a mob scene. Like, people could have been trampled. I'm trying to express how crowded that Static X concert was for their return. It was incredible. Like, I've never been to a concert like that, and we've been to some small venues. Like, and this was a nice medium-sized venue we've been to many, many times. We couldn't believe how many people were there, and that's just a testament to how much everyone loves Static X. Like, right?
Yeah.
It just shows that even, Wayne's been gone for 10 years, and they're, revitalizing the whole band, and they're out there, but just for their, reunion tour. And nobody, like, nobody knew who he was. He's just, like, keeping himself secret.
He did a good job. I mean, as we were listening, and he sounded just fine. There was no issues there. I want to say personally thank you to everyone who supported the Metal Time Radio channel and the podcast and stuff like that, because actually it was late. It's been really booming. I mean, I just did 2 reviews for my Lone Wolf with Dub and Monkey Man review yesterday. And you guys are killing it. Like, my Lone Wolf got about 90 views, and then my Monkey Man's got 224 views. So, like, I'm really appreciative of you guys really checking out our content and, leaving comments and stuff. Stuff I've got coming up tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll be guesting on the Entertainment Headquarters with Kevin Lambert. We're going to be doing our top 10 iconic movie deaths. We'll be breaking that down. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, my channel, Metal Tavern, I'll be doing a live stream Q&A discussion. We'll be talking various things from Godzilla and kaiju stuff to music to questions for me about horror if you want, or tarantulas, my hobby. It's more like just
I have
a bullshit
so many
thing.
questions.
Yeah, she always does.
So many questions.
Content coming up. I might be doing a Brother of the Wolf review, just kind of like what we did with The Crow.
Oh my God.
Top 10 horror remakes. I'll be doing that. I'll be doing a review for Exuma. Then I'm going to do my top 10 sexiest female vampires in cinematic history.
I know who number 1 is.
Who?
Aaliyah.
No, I don't know. I haven't finished it, so I don't know. That's a good question. And then I think at some point, if I get caught up on it, The Boys season 4, I'll probably do like a breakdown of The Boys entirety with Big Bad Wolf.
Yeah, I need to rewatch all of it because I'm so confused. I need to just binge it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I appreciate all the support for you guys on the channel, and it's much appreciated. So
listen, if we get 100 likes on anything, I will go topless.
She can't, because I can't put that on YouTube.
I'll put pasties on my boobs.
Yeah. I don't still think you can get away with that. But anyway, thank you very much for the support.
I'll wear a wet t-shirt. How about that?
We'll see you next time. I'm not sure what the next classic reflections would be. There's 3 choices right now, or 3 that I'm kind of dabbling. So it could be Wasp, the self-titled.
Could be Korn, the self-titled.
That might be down the road. I might do Rats, Invasion of Your Privacy, or I might do Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine. I'm not really sure which one yet.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out at some point next month when we're going to do that. But thanks again for all your support. We appreciate it. See you next time on the Metal Time Radio Podcast.
Hi, we are thrash metal band Pokerface from Russia, and you are listening to Metal Tavern Radio.